And then there's the question of who takes over for him at Alabama. And this isn't really our beat, but you've got all these big-name coaches out there.
Yeah.
And it's Alabama.
Right.
It's Alabama.
Right.
It's not Alabama State, it's Alabama. No offense to Alabama State.
Yeah.
So, if we would have known back in September this was going to happen, the no-brainer replacement would have been Deion Sanders. But that thing went sideways in Colorado pretty quickly, and I'm not sure Deion Sanders to Alabama is going to be, nearly as hot now as it would have been in September, because I remember trying to figure out what the end game is for Deion. He kept saying no NFL, no NFL, no NFL. But boy, he and Saban get along well, and he speaks in hushed tones about Saban. That, again, back when Colorado was really good and it looked like Deion had figured out how to go anywhere and be successful start to finish of a season. But the way things ended and some of the details in the management of the game, clock management, and never really got questioned about that the way he should have, because there's this cult of personality that's built up around the Colorado program. I saw some betting odds from one of these offshore sites that had him at 6-1. I just don't see Deion Sanders to Alabama now.
I don't think
September,
right?
September, yes. Now, no.
No, now, yeah. I think now is, hey, he's got to maybe prove himself a little bit more. Did a lot of good things there at Colorado, certainly. But, yeah, there's some things that maybe need to be, fine-tuned, whatever. We'll see. A year of recruiting there in Colorado, see what he does, what he pulls together as far as players on the team and where it goes. But, yeah, this is Alabama, right? And I know, they don't have maybe some of the boosters that some of the other big schools that do. They still have a lot of money. They're still, from the last thing I saw, they make the second most money in all of college football when it's all said and done, right, behind the great Texas Longhorns. But Alabama is one of the few places that I think NFL coaches look at and go, ooh, I would maybe think about going there, right? It's a short list where I think the true NFL coach, right, would look to go to college. When you go, okay, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, right, Alabama, USC, Texas, those are really the ones that, even NFL coaches who don't want to coach college go, well, I'd think about it at those places. It's pretty special. And, so that's where I go.
We hear that.
Yeah.
We hear that.
Right.
But other than Jim Harbaugh going back to Michigan.
Yeah.
After he was fired by the 49ers.
Right.
And Saban quitting the Dolphins and going to Alabama after he said, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Actually, that's finally true now. He can say, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach and mean it. It would be funny if that's what he said at his press conference. But we hear that all the time about this vague attraction of some of these big-time college jobs, and you wouldn't have to work as hard during the season. But we don't see it happen.
No, I think it's because of the other stuff.
When does it happen?
Right? I mean, we've heard a lot of NFL coaches linked to, Notre Dame over the years. Texas made a play for Kyle Shanahan not, too long ago, right? There's always, that element. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I think the guys they're attracting, for the most part, they talk about it, but then they realize, damn, I'm going to have to talk to Johnny and Jimmy's mom and dad and beg them to go to football. And then when he doesn't play good or I have to bench him, I got to talk to Jimmy and Johnny's mom and dad about why I benched him, right? And that's
you
the
don't
stuff.
Have to talk to him.
Well, yeah, but more times than
ignore
not, they do. More times than not, they do, because they're going to have to meet them face to face at some point. Or the way it is in college football, yeah, they're just going to be waiting outside your office door. Even the parents are. I've seen that crazy crap happen in college football. So that's the crap you got to deal with, where I think real football coaches, NFL-wise, that's where they just look at it and go, damn, I don't want any part of that. That's the thing I think that ends up being the biggest turnoff to a lot of them.
And you got to recruit. You got to love recruiting.
Right.
If you recruit well, you can get yourself 10 first-round picks every year. That's one of the reasons why Nick Saban was so happy at college. He was such a great recruiter. The recruiting now changes because, again, it's not how much money the program has. It's how much money it takes to maintain the NIL budget. And you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's the problem. And that's why Saban was always whining about NIL.
Not sustainable.
Because the more money, you can only shake so much money out of the boosters' pockets.
Right.
And if a lot of that money is going to the NIL fund, that's less money that's going to the fund that pays me.
Exactly.
Or the fund
whatever.
that has this great facility that the players want to be at and all the other stuff we need to maintain the program. You're siphoning away the money that we use to pay the players. So Alabama can't compete with some of the other bigger schools that are going to emerge as the consistent year in and year out. They got the money to pay the players. They got the money to fund the program, and money is going to drive that bus. So
no,
that
you're
exactly
you're exactly
I've
right.
just had enough.
I had a conversation with Mac Brown a few weeks ago, right? My old Texas coach, and he said exactly what you said. He just said, I don't think this is sustainable. College football is probably going to need a salary cap like the NFL. And he goes, I feel guilty because I call a booster and ask him for money. And then 7 weeks later, I got to call him and go, hey, do you got any more money? Because we got another guy we'd like to. And it never ends. And that's where, yes, to your point, I think a lot of these college coaches are, it's a tough dance in the fine line of like, wait, I like this guy, I respect him, I want him to be a part of our, football organization here as far as college is concerned, and I don't want to look like I'm always mooching the guy and asking for, hey, can I have more money? Can I have more money? Can I have more money? And I can't think that that's going to last forever here with college football.
You mentioned the possibility of a salary cap, but again, anything that they try to collectively do under the umbrella of the NCAA is an antitrust violation, because these are all independent businesses that should be competing with each other for anything and everything, whether it's the professor that you want to hire or whether it's the quarterback that you want playing for your football team in a world like that. And the best outcome for college football, they don't want to do it, but the best outcome is make it professional football. Make it a situation where you have a union that represents, let me finish, Pete. You have a union that represents all of the players nationwide. You have rules, you pay them, there's a salary cap, there are limitations on movement, and you got to finish the season. You can't just decide you're not going to play or you ain't getting paid. So I think college football in many ways would benefit from having employees under contract.
Yeah.
You could smooth things out a little bit more. It's going to take a lot to get there.
Right.
But I think if we just call it already is professional football. It's just the players are getting screwed because they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
They have to go find their money elsewhere.
Right.
At least they can do that now. So that's the solution, and maybe we'll get there in your lifetime, Chris. Probably not in mine. Let's take a break. When we return, some changes in Chicago to the coaching staff, and some big, easy for him to say, big changes at quarterback possibly coming for the Bears. We'll discuss that next.
Today, Junior.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.